Actually, I really like my.
Well, if we wanted to utilize them with,
Okay. You click on this little parrot, the audio. Let's make it, if you make the speaker Preston, it'll come out of the speakers like that are up here in the room. And then the video, if you want to see how's it going? Perfect.
Good.
And so now you're all set.
Okay.
There's one other thing you need to do to start the live stream, because right now you're in the practice session. So if you go to Zoom, you click on more, it's the three dots, and you click live stream. And you want live on custom streaming. If you click it now, it will go live now.
Okay, so wait.
Yes, I would click wait. So that's the one really tricky thing is it's not live on YouTube, it's live on custom live streaming. I don't know why, but that's what it is. And when you click that button, sometimes, I don't know what setting it is that turns it on or off, but sometimes it will open up like a new tab in your browser. And it'll show like a little like loading bar and will open up the YouTube link like on your computer. And you want to make sure to close that link or mute it because otherwise you'll have an echo.
Okay.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
And then we, because I do believe we also have to monitor the chat, because this is, although last time we had somebody who tried to join, but there was something wrong. They drove down here actually.
Oh, like a public comment?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I think the meeting ID was wrong.
Yeah, that last time, but
this one's for sure.
So
yeah, but to do that,
yes.
So if you click on participants, click on the little people icon. Yeah, so right now you only have panelists because the meeting hasn't started yet. So you need to be a panelist to even get into the meeting.
Okay.
If I were an attendee, it would say something like, wait for the host to start the meeting.
Got it.
Once you click start, like start webinar, then the public can come in and that's where you will see attendees.
Okay.
And so I would just check before, you probably have a public comment period at the beginning of your meeting and then public comment before every action item. So just like keep an eye on this attendee list and see if anyone like raises their hand in the attendee list room or the attendee waiting list.
Okay. And then I need to share the packet.
Sure, yeah.
In the pack in like the SOP that Anna wrote before me, she said.
How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you today?
Good.
Good. Put it on there. Is that true? Or should I just go ahead?
It's up to you. It's, okay. I mean, I think it's up to you. You can share it or someone else can share it.
Okay.
Do you know how to share it? Okay. Yeah, it's the green one there.
Okay.
We're so used to Teams.
Oh, I know.
When we go to
yeah.
Oh, I don't know how to
chaos.
Yeah. Especially because we only do it 2 times a year.
Exactly. It's just like, it's not frequent enough, so you just forget it. Yeah. Why is the category platform events? Hello.
Hello.
I brought you guys some goodies.
Oh, my.
The little cafe down there. She's got yummy cookies.
Oh, that's very sweet. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you really want some sweets. But you know, why not?
Yeah.
The sugar, it's the afternoon.
Sugar afternoon, why not?
A little bit of a rush.
We eat it now and 20 minutes from now. Yeah.
Do you have like presentations or anything or just?
Okay, so Ron is not coming.
Okay.
And then,
okay, cool.
Dana's not coming.
So
Oh,
the other thing is, Mariah, I do believe we have to keep minutes as well.
I got it. So we can be okay.
Okay, and then
Ron has
the nice thing about the fact that we're
surgery that was
recording it
supposed to
is
be
you don't have to
another
worry, if you don't
time,
want
and
to,
then
you
it
don't
got-
have to
so
worry
we
about doing the
scheduled it
minutes right
here,
now
but
when
the
you give the
surgery
meeting.
got January,
Exactly,
and
you
then
can
got
watch
enough
that.
Openings, so they took
sure.
Which I
does
totally-
committee take action?
Yeah, life
Yes.
happens.
Okay, so
Yeah.
when it gets
So,
to the action
I'm just letting you know. as the
you just
chair.
want to figure
Right.
out for
I
someone to
only
be like
found
making
that
a
out this
motion, like your cue, like, okay, they're ready to take action. And you will probably
stressed
be
out.
called upon, like, you're gonna be the one probably
Look what they're doing today.
to, like, call the vote.
Excuse me, excuse
Go
me?
ahead.
So when people like, when there's a motion and someone
Yeah.
seconded it.
I
Yeah,
bet.
we're pretty
And-
informal.
Okay.
and
You learned.
I think we only usually have 1 or 2 action
Yeah.
items and it's to approve the budget or
Great.
approve the expenses
Okay,
Members of the
or
public.
recommend
Typically not.
approval
Well,
to
they do, but
the.
what?
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And they were
Um,
behind me.
Because then they sign a memo that goes to
And-
council when we
Around
do
there, I will let you know.
proposals.
I mean, you know,
or
it,
when
it
we
was
do,
what it was, but.
Like adopting the budget and then they say, oh, stormwater has been recommended by the committee to approve it.
Got it, okay, yeah, so then you're good, then you're all, then you.
Well,
sounds like-
no.
Sounds like you guys know.
Yeah.
what to do.
Yeah,
And you
so.
can't really do anything.
Just wanted to make sure.
Is there any
Because I
other-
do think we have to still publish, still have to publish them.
Yes, you do have still to publish the
How
minutes,
long
do you, do you, oh, sorry,
That sounds
Yeah,
bad.
I have two
We have to
staff
publish
that
it,
are
just the next day is we're fine, right?
yeah, the next day is totally fine, you want to like a set deadline,
Okay.
we like to have, like,
And the wastewater.
definitely within a week.
That's going well,
Okay.
right?
But like, you don't have to do it the very next day or that
There's a
same.
lot going on.
I bet there's a lot.
And you
going on.
guys
That's
do
good though.
just action minutes,
Yeah,
right?
we're
Or do you
trying to
also
figure out
do summary
Find,
minutes?
how to find.
I don't know,
funding for
actually.
everything.
Okay.
Do you know if we do action minutes or just or summary minutes?
I see.
Water
I'm
quality.
guessing you just
Who
do
cares?
action.
I am too.
It's
Yeah.
not bad, it's just.
And
every
it's
single
usually the
plant
two.
is going through
Yeah.
massive rebuild.
Well, sometimes they do have a few extra things, like they want to adjust like language and certain things, and so.
For the stuff right now, we just got it published last week.
Uh-huh.
That talks about all the capital work that we're doing with the plant.
Ooh, a
And
note
then
for all of
also
us,
what
it looks
we're
like the
doing
April
financially.
minutes aren't published yet,
Because
so.
Oh,
Sure.
Maybe
I
we'll
don't
check
think
well,
about it.
later about that.
Yeah.
It's kind of giving them.
Because we have
like
to
a-
approve
Go
those
like
minutes
every.
in this meeting.
every
Oh,
2
do you,
years.
you approve
Yeah.
the minutes?
You know,
Got it, okay.
capital work
Then that
takes
makes
a long
sense.
Yes.
time.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, then that's different than other commissions, so. Or
Oh,
these
so
other
then
committees.
actually.
Right.
It takes decades.
Right, right.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it looks like you
The
guys
second
just
year
do
to
action
my
minutes, which is
project's gonna
great,
take
those are
5
the.
years to build.
Okay,
It took
perfect.
Probably 10 years,
Um,
10, 15 years
yep.
to plan, design,
Yeah.
get money.
Okay,
get
do you have any
approved.
other questions for me?
I just press
Yeah.
start.
And
like
you're
normal,
also
it's time
already-
start.
You're still
Maybe
sharing your
reports on the
screen, so you can turn that
Yeah,
off if
that's
you want, or do you wanna, are you sharing it the entire
That's
meeting?
I'll probably
years
share
for-
the entire.
Okay.
Yeah, just so they have something to reference.
Well, it's
Then
Um,
in that
Too,
case,
so-
what
It'll be
I
the
might
first one that'll
recommend,
be,
oh, just minimize that.
Using
Yeah.
wastewater
But
as
I
a
still
Um,
have
stormwater
to
polishing.
press the.
Nice.
Yes,
Yeah.
so what I might
That's really
recommend,
cool.
because you're gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah.
sharing the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah,
meeting,
and then we're
is changing
upgrading
the
all of the
view, so it's
electrical
easier to see
system
this.
too.
So if you go up to the top here, and
We're
click
doing
view,
advanced water purification.
Um,
system.
if you click
So
side
to
by
do
side gallery,
Blending for,
And
then,
enhanced recycled water.
Huh.
let's see,
Um,
do you mind clicking
and then we're
stop
trying
share?
to design
please?
headwork.
Okay,
We have
And now
pre-designed
could
to pick- 'cause
you-
We don't really have a headwork.
I see.
um,
So that's really headworks.
okay, now,
Lot. It's a lot.
now try sharing something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went down to Bayland yesterday afternoon just to look at the birds, just to walk around.
And then you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, so they're doing stuff on both sides of the road now.
Well, the,
If you go to
that one should be done
view-
soon. That's just done. They're trying to remove, they're just trying to re.
It looks
Move
like
a pipe or
next.
something?
Yeah,
That's what I
sewer-
figured
the
it was.
sewer Line.
Uh,
For the AWPS.
right, right.
So we just have to shift it. And of course.
3 inches to the left.
Right, and then they hit.
This might be why
Uh,
people having someone other than the
That's all right.
host share this video, because then I think it looks.
Okay.
So I'm, Greg and MD should be here.
Yeah.
Well, and Hal hopefully will.
Come in.
And then.
See what it looks like this afternoon on West Bay Shore.
Oh,
Is this someone's to plug in?
nice.
Do not need it.
Well, I don't know how nice it is, but
The power?
Oh, is that, so wait, which project is this now?
I've-
West Bay Shore. So this must be
Good, I'll.
the new
I'll never
project on
say
the other
no
side of
power.
that bridge, right?
well, there's one on,
right now and I die.
The Google one, the one that's on the Google right of way.
It's also not.
I don't know, this is in the Google right away. This obviously is in the
Time.
city's bike bridge, right?
Right.
And then what I did is from the bike bridge, you
I
can look
appreciate that.
across and you see the construction.
Yeah, right.
I used to run them all.
On the
and
Baylands.
Everything, but I was doing
Oh
like
my
2
gosh.
screens at home.
Do you like to walk that area?
Yeah.
I was
I
running
live right near there.
Ah, I see.
My
Now
wife
it's very
walks
different.
there every day.
Yeah.
and I just went to
Oh,
walk part of it with her.
I guess, yeah, you can't promote.
Kyle,
I
do
like
you
that
wanna
walk.
join
I
it?
like,
Yeah, I was actually just looking at the,
all right.
There's.
So it is not,
can you send me the invite again really quick? So it's at the top.
Okay.
But I still want to
also
figure
not-
out what's going on
okay.
with these projects.
Just change
What
it
do you mean
on
with
my
that?
screen.
What's
Really not a
going
big
where,
deal,
which.
like the meeting can't go
Oh, wait, I'll just put it in my calendar.
the status, the map with the status of the project.
Well, I got to see.
There's one in the packet
Well,
Sure.
downstairs.
that they've updated with has status of things. and-
Thank you. Right, but I guess I'm,
Good to see you.
when I look at the,
Wait, how do you
The
use
plan.
the-
Hear us?
the more detailed plan,
Uh-huh,
it just showed the construction site.
It.
It didn't
Stay
show
comfortable.
where the
Trying hard, trying really hard.
outflow pipes were heading.
okay,
And I think I know where they're going, but I don't really know where they're going.
okay.
Okay, so I
You
had-
might need to
Right,
put
so
on
the
your.
thing,
Hello.
Yeah.
how
Of your
you doing?
computer.
Doing well. How are you?
Let's see, let's see.
Pretty well. Pretty well today.
hi,
Oh, no, no, now you're
good to
good.
see you.
Okay.
Good to see you now.
Can I take a quick look at your,
I don't know.
that page?
Okay, so I'm in.
Did you want a packet?
Okay, you can see everything fine.
They're right up there, I
Okay.
can get you one.
That's it. Here, I just wanted to show you this.
Yeah, that's
So
what I'm
actually
talking
what I can
about.
do is
Oh,
I
see,
can
that's
help monitor the
focusing
chat.
on One
while
of the
she's in
projects.
there.
Well, the
You're
one that I
actually
just showed you a
Right,
picture of.
Is rather than.
And
Yeah,
I
that's
wanna
right.
know, because this says this is
Yeah,
East
so it's,
Station,
yeah, this is where you're gonna see,
but I think
like, people just raising their
I'm
hands.
confused because this may be on the
Not
other
that,
side.
I think we've only had one in the past
Oh.
2 years.
I mean, just in case,
Yeah.
this is where they're gonna be.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm happy to, like,
It's good
stick
though.
here and put you guys like on YouTube and
Yeah, I can't
Streaming.
get in there.
Oh, that's
Because
awesome.
yeah.
All green the same way.
There's 15, there's,
This
I
is
think
for
that's
you.
it.
Oh my God,
For you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciation event? Yes, yes.
Thanks, guys.
Look up.
I still use my little, picnic, blanket all the time.
Well, that's good.
oh my.
I use this bag a lot.
It was the commissioner event that the clerks put on.
I know.
Yeah, we got ours.
Should advertise.
Yeah,
City of
when
Manhattan.
we got
I'm
it.
sorry I wasn't there. It's my kid's last year as a
beer.
senior and there was a water polo game. I was not gonna miss
Hang out
anything.
until they're all
Yeah,
set and like
that's great.
streaming and get together.
Oh,
Yeah.
Senior season, yeah.
I'm actually
This
gonna
is it.
scoot over.
That's okay.
Nobody
When-
gets it, you're gonna sit here.
Everybody knew you weren't there and
Just so I
We
can
all
help
missed
her
it.
if she needs.
Oh, for
anything.
everybody, I'm sure did not even notice.
Oh.
what did she mention?
Good.
Somebody was.
All right.
So we get started or?
Yeah.
Not today, maybe later. We'll wait for it. We'll wait for it a little bit.
Pack was really short.
Is that him?
Someone's really, we got their packets. You want a packet?
Sure.
I think this is the four, because Ron and Dina are not coming. So we've got everybody.
Good, so we can think about getting started? All right, so we're gonna, calling us to order and get started on the meeting. And I think this is a quick moment where we just check to see if there's anybody here from the public who wishes to comment on items not on the agenda. Do I hear anything?
Everyone in the meeting?
There is nobody in the meeting
Okay,
online either.
And is this a good time to ask the questions about the email that I forwarded and
I think there's another item on
there
there.
is a, right.
okay, so should we move on? Okay. Are there any agenda changes, additions, or deletions? I don't have anything.
Usually it's at the very end, just so you know.
Okay,
For her, comment, just, she got other comments from commissioners at the very end.
oh, okay, great. So at the end of this, all the agenda items will come back to you. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, so the first item is approval of the minutes from the last meeting. And,
Yeah, I'll move to.
oh, okay, great, thank you for that.
I don't have any comments about them. We talked about it before.
Okay, all right. Does anybody else have any comments or? Would you like to move on approval of the meeting, the minutes, David?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
I, what's the right phrase? Not I second, did somebody? I can say.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And as long as we're all ready to move forward, we can go to the new business items. And the first one is the review of the fiscal year actual 2025 actuals and 26 adopted.
Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle's on. Michelle.
I'm on the call. Hi, all. I'm going to walk through our fiscal year 2025 year-end actuals for you. As a reminder, this committee needs to approve our year-end actuals annually, as well as our proposed budget for the next fiscal year, before we take that to our council. So this November or October, November timeframe, we look at the actuals from the previous year. And then in the April timeframe, we look at the proposed budget for the next year. So if you want to move on to the next slide, I have used the same template I've used in years past, to kind of give you a bigger picture and a little bit more than just the 1 year that you need to look at, so you can have some frame of reference. So I've laid out where we ended the fiscal year 2024. I've showed you what our adopted is for 2025, and then what we need your approval on today, the actuals for 2025. And then I always think it's a good reference point to show you what our adopted is for next year. That third column, the actuals for 2025, is what we do need you to approve and recommend on today. So this picture is broken down into revenues, the expenses for our base program, and the expenses for our project and infrastructure program. I've split out the revenues for you all in the kind of the key pieces of where we get our revenues in this fund. The main place we get the revenues is from our fee, the ballot measure fee. And then there's a couple other touch points in there that we get actuals and revenues as well that are far less than our fee revenue. For fiscal year 2025, our adopted revenues were 10,319,000 roughly. And we came in at 9,404,000, which is slightly below what we had adopted. However, when you look at the breakdown, the fee revenue was pretty spot on. And where we really came in under was that other revenue category. And what that is the the grant that we've got from the Environmental Protection Agency. So that grant, that 1,216,000 you see in the other revenue for adopted 2025, that's a grant that we received that we've presented to you several times. That's a reimbursement basis. So we will always show the kind of outstanding amount that we are owed in the adopted. And the understanding is we won't receive those actuals in until we have paid the expense out. So for fiscal year 2025, we received 208,000 of that. So that's what that is comprised of. And then the remainder of that grant revenue, you'll see shown in the adopted for fiscal year 2026 line. And this is why I think it's important to have some other touch points on there for you than just the 1 year I need your approval on.
Good.
So that's the revenues. And then when we move on to the expenses of the base program, so that's the portion of our ballot fee here that is intended to be ongoing operating and maintenance basis, that we would continue and have to do regardless of the ballot measure. So that's the piece that's got our flood control and improvement work, that's got our storm quality protection work, the actual maintenance of the storm drain system, and our administrative costs. For that base program expenses, we have come in pretty close, slightly higher than what was budgeted, but pretty close. We have overall adopted 5,665,000 for that base program expenses, and we came in at 5,870,000. When I look at the breakdown, the bulk of that, the reason for that overage is administrative support costs, which is going to be staff time. And when I dug into it, it's a little bit of our operations and maintenance kind of overtime staff that had to report to different events throughout the fiscal year, storm events, that is. And then we get into our expenses for the project and infrastructure program side. That's going to be our capital projects, our green municipal infrastructure program, and our innovative projects. This final section here is a bit more volatile year to year and adopted versus actuals within that year because of the capital projects. So there's a little asterisk there that didn't get, oh, it is printed on the side there. In our adopted budget, we factor in the full cost of a capital project that's budgeted in that fiscal year. When we're looking at the actuals, we're only reporting on what was actually spent for that project. So what that means is we have budgeted in fiscal year 2025 for certain capital projects. And then when we look at the actuals, we're only going to report what we've actually spent. And then we will do what's called reappropriating the rest of that cost expense into the next fiscal year. So it kind of rolls over and trickles between years until it's fully expended, but we always show the full amount in the adopted budget. So that project and infrastructure program, you will see the adopted budget is almost always much higher than what the actuals end up being for that year because of the capital projects that we have budgeted, and then the real life way that we spend the money spans often more than one fiscal year to complete those projects. Another item of note that you'll see in that third project and infrastructure program section is the debt service. The debt reminder to everybody, the debt service from our previous ballot measure actually was carried into this ballot measure, and it did fall off for fiscal year 2025. So that will not be showing or something that we will be affected by going forward. I'll open up now for our committee to ask any questions, clarifying questions on this or anything else that's budget related. I have time to walk through anything you might be curious about.
Michelle, could you explain the debt service, because the adopted is 949, but now the actuals is non-existent, so could you walk me through that?
Yeah, of course. So the debt service was the debt service for some of our projects under the last ballot measure. We were still paying them off into this ballot measure. It should have really fiscal year 2024 was the last year that we had to pay anything towards that debt service. It didn't get removed properly on the technical side for the adopted budget, so it still showed as the 949 in that adopted budget, but we will not be realizing any more actuals on that debt service going forward, so it will remain at zero. Now, if we do decide to issue bonds or anything for the net remainder of the projects in this ballot, we would have to increase that debt service line again. But for now, we have not done that. As far as I know, we don't have any plans to do that. And that was the carryover from the projects under the last ballot measure that was built into the first handful of years of this one. And we have fully paid off the expense of that debt service.
Thank you very much.
I've got a question or two.
Yeah, please.
This should be fairly straightforward. The fee revenue increases. What drives that? Is that a fee based on property taxes?
So in our ballot measure, we said that we can increase by CPI, the annual Bay Area December CPI, or I believe 6%, whichever is lower. So the ballot measure has dictated what our percentage fee increase each year is. I believe last year, and someone else in the room can probably correct me if I'm wrong, it was either 2.4% or 2.6%. It's usually right, hovers around and under 3% a year. And that was built into the ballot measure. So
Okay.
We don't have a ton of leniency in how much we can increase annually.
Okay, then another question. The actual spent for the other revenue, that EPA grant, was 208,000. And where does that show up on the expenses?
That's going to show up under the project and infrastructure program section
Yes.
in the capital projects. That's
Okay,
the second one. So that EPA grant, and Pam's on the line, can speak a little bit more to that if we have questions on that. We budgeted that in one of our green storm infrastructure capital projects. So the revenue and the expense are both going to be reflected in that project. So you'll see the revenue in the top section and the expense in the bottom project and infrastructure program section under that bold capital improvement projects one.
513 is what you're saying? That at the bottom of the actual,
Yes,
and so that 208,000 is part of that 513,000. That was my question. Where was it spent?
it's in the capital improvements projects one.
Okay, the 489.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
It's specifically for a green stormwater infrastructure project.
That's good. I just was wondering where it showed up. Thank you.
that's a
That
great question. Yeah, it's great to track where the revenues that have a corresponding expense fall.
Do we have any other questions about this
That's good.
presentation? Okay,
And Catherine, someone from the public joined after the public comment period. So
Oh.
we can online, so they would want to ask if they have public comment.
yeah, should I do that or, okay. How do I address them? Just speak
Who's
into
on?
the,
What's the name of the person?
Katya, I
Katya?
believe, Urban.
Katya Urban. Hello, Katya Urban? Can you hear us?
Yes, hello.
Hi, I'm Catherine, the chair of this committee, and I understand that you have an interest in expressing, or asking some questions, making a comment or
Oh,
expressing.
no, I was just trying to listen in for the most part.
Okay,
Great. We just want to make sure if there's a public comment period that we give you the opportunity.
Oh, thank you. I'm a representative with the CR Club.
Great. Welcome.
great. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us.
If you do have a comment, feel free to put it in the chat and then we can monitor that.
Oh, great, thank you.
Thank you. So no other questions on this presentation, so we can move forward to discussing the memorandum for fiscal year 2025 actual expenditures, where we have an action needed. So I believe that's in the next slide, the one that we're looking at.
The memo.
Memo, yes, the memo.
This is usually the simple memo, not one that you usually belabor over, but
Right.
you guys can feel free to
So-
read through the memo.
Right, so I personally have looked it over, and I'm just wondering if anybody else needs more time or has any questions. No, well, then we could, do I hear approval?
Move approval.
Thank you, Hal.
Second that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
No questions or comments on it. It's solid.
these are very similar from year to year in terms
Oh,
of
yeah.
sort of the overall
But
approach.
it helps to look at what happened this last year. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, then we shall move on.
Actually, maybe these should move on.
Pass the napkins with them, please. If you like some
Would you like a
cookies.
turkey?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. You know,
A very
I
constructive.
do, but I'll wait.
Yeah.
Spread it out.
All right,
Manage
while the
capital.
cookies are being passed around, I think we can move on. This is now the capital update.
Hold it. Do we vote on that?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. We need to vote on the action needed for approval of the memorandum for fiscal year 2025 actual expenditures. Do I see a raise of hands or a yay?
Approval?
Approval? Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you, committee. Thank you for that. All right,
We need to take some action here
yes,
besides eating
yes.
cookies.
well, see,
Well-
that's why I brought the cookies.
Yeah.
Cookies. Cookies are a valid action to take.
Mm.
All right, now we're gonna move towards the capital update. Doing that?
So I will be presenting this. I think Rajiv is also online if any questions come up. I do have 5 minutes. I'm gonna try to keep us on track, so I'm gonna go fast. Next slide, please. So this is an update from the map you saw last time we met. We've corrected it to update to show Hamilton Avenue contract was awarded earlier in the month. That was something that's changed from the previous one. We are moving forward with the 3 projects located at East and West Bay Shore. That contract was awarded previously, I think, when we last met, and construction is underway. Next slide. Next one. So this basically is a layout of East Bay Shore. I chose the one that was most complicated to depict all the utilities, or at least some of the utilities that are in conflict in here.
So this is East Bay Shore.
That's East Bay Shore.
Okay.
So that's East Bay Shore, and basically identifying utilities that are in the way. You'll notice a water line crosses our potential wet well location, so that's gonna have to be rerouted around it. Over the weekend, Rajiv and I were out there on Saturday to relocate, replace an existing transformer that's shown in yellow. That was to be done in an effort to do our storm drain pipes, undergrounding, and to avoid any potential conflicts. That had to be done in advance. So now we're rerouting against that. One of the big issues in this location is also the 34-inch PG&E gas line transformer. So you look, transmission line. So you'll see that on the next slide. One of the critical pieces that we're trying to do is, given the size of that PG&E line shown in orange here, is we've been in discussions with PG&E about how do we monitor that gas line. This is a main trunk line that serves San Francisco and Peninsula. So if we do anything that potentially could be questionable, they need to be an alert. So we've got a sort of a game plan on exposing that line, putting vibratory devices on it in advance before we do any of the work, to in particular to install the sheet pile. So I drew a little gray lines in there to show where our sheet piles are going to be installed in the close proximity. The first one in question is the one closest to it. As we move away around the wet well, it'll be easier, but that's the one that we're questioning. That's going to be a lot. It's going to drive a lot of the project in this vicinity. Next slide. So one of the pieces that we're looking to avoid also a lot of the wet well, avoid the gas line we're considering right now, this isn't decided, we're still looking at doing, was a video shared, Maria? Did you guys show a video?
I sent it in the email.
There was an email about microtunneling, as an example of microtunneling that could be done. We're looking to do microtunneling at this site instead of open trenching. The open trench means that we would have to put in sheet piles really deep, de-water as we go along, remove a lot of the soil or excavate the soil and either stockpile or get rid of it. This should be less invasive and ideally shorter in time. However, this also comes with another issue. A lot of the staging, the right of way, we're going to be taking up a lot of the street. Portion along the project frontage rate could be reduced to one lane, 10 to 10.5 feet to 11 feet wide, and 2 directional, so flagger control or traffic signal controlled. That would always be the case, but in this circumstance, given where we are and all the utilities in that vicinity, this may be one of the best things to use. The city hasn't done this, so we're trying to do something that we haven't done not either in storm drain or in our utility system. So we're going to try to propose some sort of different type of installation to try to reduce the time and not to deal with a lot of the soil that comes out or the dewatering.
Approximately how much time would the traffic be impacted?
This whole project, I'm saying through December of next year, December 2026. So this component could take anywhere from 6 to 8 months. And we would be dealing with the construction of this component during that time.
So East Bay Shore would be constricted to
Correct.
one lane.
Correct. And more likely West Bay Shore as well. I think if we, as you recall, East Bay Shore is the shorter segment of the two. On West Bay Shore, we have a much longer segment of pipeline that we have to install. On that one, we'd also consider doing something similar, either microtunneling as opposed to open trenching.
And you would constrict the traffic on West Bay Shore as well?
Correct.
Or
East Bay Shore is harder because of the gas lines and because of the electrical overhead that we have in the vicinity. West Bay Shore would probably constrict the same thing, the lane as long, but we don't have as many utilities that are in conflict. A lot of what the services in this vicinity, particularly, we've got already microtunneling that's been done underneath the freeway by a project in this vicinity. So we already know there's going to be more utilities, which we anticipated. We knew going in that East Bay Shore was gonna be more chaotic, but we will have to do something similar also on West Bay Shore. Which hopefully is, if there's less conflict, we can go faster.
And how does this traffic disturbance get communicated to the public?
Various ways. So one of the options.
But it will be.
It will be, like, for example, while the work that was happening during this, in anticipation of this last weekend, a week in advance, we posted the changeable message board signs you noticed out there, and if you saw, if you witnessed, so that gets posted a week earlier. We also distribute flyers to the neighborhood. We're working with the business owners in that vicinity as well, notifying them. We will do, what we did over the weekend was concentrated to the on-site, but as soon as we start going outside of that project area, then we will do more outreach. Either next door is one of our options, webpage updates, news links, we will provide so that the public is aware of it. Not only the public, but there are residents or commuters who are not residents. So we need to make sure, again, continue with the outreach, and there'll be project signs that we also post.
Okay.
One question, you mentioned open trenching versus micro tunneling. Is there, even if you're doing open trenching, the traffic and some of those effects will still be there? So
Correct.
it's not like a disadvantage or anything.
Correct.
Is micro tunneling more expensive? What the reason why we don't use it more?
Part of it is the conflicts. A lot of our utilities, everywhere there's a bend, we'd have to create another open pit. So in this case, since we have a straight line, it's easier, we'll have open pits on both ends of it. On other pipe segments, for example, we have Hamilton. Hamilton, there has a couple smaller bends as we go around Newell, and that situation, we're creating more open pits. So typically, I think it's an alternative that we haven't been using. Just historically, we haven't needed to. Our utilities are not that deep, or we don't have as many conflicts as we're foreseeing here. Secondly, I think it's the dewatering component that typically when we're doing Loma Verde, when we did East Bay Shore, East Meadow, we didn't have as much dewatering in place. So we're trying to minimize the impact that we know foreseeable could be an issue by doing microtunneling, which seems more promising than an open trench.
Micro tunneling eliminates the dewatering. Got it.
Yeah, we'd still need to dewater at the pits.
Yeah.
Wherever we're the jack pit or the receiving pit, we still need to dewater at those ends, but we don't have to dewater
Right, the
700
whole
feet.
trench.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. And I think that concludes my portion.
Okay.
Oh, no, Hamilton, quickly. Hamilton, so this is just basically, as I mentioned earlier, this one was awarded just earlier in the month. Those are the bid ranges, and we're working with the contractor, getting bonds, scheduling, everything else. So more than likely, this is typical of the process. One of the things that I do want to bring up, and previously I had mentioned, was we were trying to wrap up Allister into this project. But based on a cost ratio, we decided not to include Allister right now with this project, the CAP. We will do Allister as a rehab work. There's also conflicts with, if we did Allister, we would be in conflict with Dubinick School. So we would have more criteria for the contractor to adhere to around the school. If we award Allister separately at a later date, we could try to schedule it during the summer months when there's school time session.
Is that one of the reasons the bid is lower than anticipated?
No, I don't think, no. I think the bid is almost what we expected in some cases, but I think if we awarded Allister, and going back to what Michelle was covering earlier, if we awarded Allister, there would be more money that we would need under the CAPs under the rehab budget, and we're going to put some of the money back. But we're still trying to advance with Allister, given the flooding that we had seen, but we're just going to do it as a separate project.
Just, could you remind me what the difference in the existing versus what we're going to be?
For Hamilton? Yeah. So Hamilton right now is about 12-inch, 15-inch pipes, segments. I think 21, 24 is probably the highest, closer to roads. We're going to replace those pipes with either 48-inch line, or where we need to, a dual line, 36 and 24. We're doing a dual line, the 36 and 24, in effort to convey higher flows, but to clear under the laterals. That 48-inch pipe gets us higher and we end up conflicting with sewer, water, gas lines, laterals that serve the residents. So we're doing a shorter pipe to them, taking up more horizontal versus vertical right away.
Impressive. Thank you.
Great. So that concludes your presentation, or is there more?
Yes. That wraps it up. So that's
Okay.
not too much.
Do we have any more questions or discussion on this topic?
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is Mike there?
Yeah.
Okay. Update from.
I
public-
am here. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mike Wong. I'm the Assistant Director of Public Works. I just want to let you know that before the presentation, I asked Mariah what time she thought I would be up. She said 2:30. Look what time it is. Could not be any closer, huh? So thank you, Mariah. And now Michelle has me worried because no one told me there was a time limit on presentation, so I better rush through this as well. Next slide, please.
Like, they don't want to be here all day.
So,
There's a time limit.
We've got plenty.
all right, so my team, the Public Works Operation team, we're responsible for storm drain maintenance. These are some of the pictures of us at work. As some of you have heard me say in past meetings, storm drain maintenance is done all year long, not just done before the winter season. In fact, we couldn't do most of our work when there's significant water in the storm drain system. So a lot of the work is actually done throughout the year. Some of the work is done right before the heavy rains, but we'll get to that in a sec. But a lot of the work again has to be done before we get significant water flows. Next slide, please. So this slide shows all the different type of work that we do year round, including some that we're going to be doing soon. Some of the work that we do closer to winter season is cleaning all the catch basins and setting up the sandbag stations that we have. But all the other work that we have listed here is done throughout the year, with the exception of right before the winter season. We also, believe it or not, prepare equipment and materials for snow plowing in the upper foothills. It does snow up there. So sometimes we close the roads, sometimes we have to plow the roads so that residents can get through. Next slide. So you've seen this truck before. This is our hydro excavator truck, a very important tool in our arsenal to keep the storm drains maintained. This is a very powerful vacuum cleaner per se, and a very high, and it also has high pressure water with special nozzles where we can actually clear blockages in pipelines. We're able to use that so that we can clear the blockages without damaging the pipelines as well. Next slide. So you've seen this trailer before. This is a version of the vacuum part of that vacuum hydro excavator. These smaller trailers, the smaller trailer we started using last year, we rented this one. We found that it to be so much more useful and flexible and increased productivity so much that we actually rented two this year. If we didn't have this equipment, the hydro excavator or these vacuum trailers, we would have to clear the catch basins by hand with shovels and other manual tools. This trailer itself increases our productivity 2.5 times. So, we've actually started at the beginning of October. We have 10-man crew working 11 to 12-hour work shifts 6 days a week to make sure we clean all the catch basins before our target date of November 15th. Glad to say that we've already cleaned 22,000 catch basins, which is about 95% of our catch basins, with only 200 left to go. So we're on good track. If you remember a few weeks ago, we had a rainstorm throughout the Bay Area that caught a lot of people off guard. A lot of agencies hadn't cleaned out their catch basins yet, and if you were unfortunate, some of those cities actually had minor flooding in their streets, where I've actually seen entire 3-lane streets flooded. But fortunately for us, since we were ahead of the game, we didn't have any flooding calls. So, kudos to the crew for putting in those long hours every day. Next slide. So this is the debris that we pull out of the catch basins. This is the amount of debris we pulled out in just 2 weeks of the catch basins we did. So this shows why it's very important to clean the catch basins. There's a lot of debris in there, and you'd be surprised what we find in there besides normal sediment, soil, dirt, and leaf debris. We found big pieces of wood, big chunks of wood, large rocks, jackets. You get everything. If you find everything in these things. Next slide.
But I have a quick question. Where does this debris go? You have to
So
sort it
So
or,
this is kind of a drying pit. Might wonder why it's all dumped here. So when it gets all sucked up in the hydro excavator truck or the vacuum trailers, we can't just dispose of it. We have to dispose of it, and so the all the water, the liquid dries out. You can see, and that all um, basically it becomes a solid waste, and then you can dispose of it as in the landfill.
No, Green Waste
Okay.
picks it up and takes it to our it goes actually down to the Z-WED facility. That one. Mike,
Okay.
not to
And-
landfill.
Mike, you said that's 2 weeks. About how many catch basins was that?
I don't have that number in front of me. To date, let's see. So we've got this is almost the third, fourth week. So to date today, we've cleaned 2,200 catch basins. So divide that by a third,
Wow, okay.
or two-thirds.
Okay.
All right. Next slide. So FSC Creek annual maintenance. Some of you may know this is a multi-jurisdictional effort by multi-agencies like Menlo Park, East Palo Alto, City of Palo Alto, Valley Water, some other agencies, but it's all coordinated by the Joint Power Authority, JPA. And every year we do a creek walk where we actually walk the creek, we inspect and determine what needs to be taken out. I mean, there's a lot of environmental restrictions. We get a lot of concerns. Well, why aren't these logs being taken out? But they're not deemed to be a problem that would cause any problems for flooding. So we're actually we're only taking out what we're allowed to take out as defined by the group, particularly the JPA. They're really tightening up on, it's getting so restrictive. You have in order to do any work in the creek, you need permits. It has to be approved. So that's done once a year. And this year we didn't have a lot to clean out in terms of debris or vegetation. Next slide. So pump stations, you've heard me say in the past, we have 9 pump stations, and you heard Michelle just say we're going to be adding 2 more, one on East Bay Shore and one on West Bay Shore. And so there's a lot of inspection, maintenance, repair work that goes on in the pump stations. Next slide, please. And this is inside a pump station. You've seen this slide before where there's a lot of debris that needs to be cleaned out. Next slide. And this metal pipe that you see on the left side with extensions on it, that's hooked up to the big vacuum hydro excavator truck that we showed you the picture of earlier, and that's used to vacuum out all this debris. Next slide. So this is another piece of equipment that we rent every year. This trash pump here is another piece of equipment that we use to actually pump the water down in the pump stations to get the water low enough so we can get access to clean out the debris and do our maintenance. Next slide. So a lot of the pump stations and some of our creeks have monitoring systems on them through what we call a SCADA system, and that's a computer system that we use to gather and analyze data and monitor and control our equipment. And the next slide will show you one interface we have with the public on our creek monitoring page. So you can see here where we have some information where we show the creek levels, rain rates, and cameras on the bridges. So you heard me, I think it was last year, you heard me mention that we added the most recent camera on at Chaucer Creek because of the prior year's flooding. Next slide. So we also have trash racks in the creeks, and this is one of the trash racks being cleaned here. And the next slide will show another trash rack we have at Matadero Creek that's being cleaned. Right here. Okay, and then the last slide actually shows another piece of equipment that we station and park at the Chaucer Creek Bridge every winter season. Everyone's remembered the big flood that we have several years ago and how much debris built up against the bridge there. And so we staged this excavator there to be ready at a moment's notice to pull out that debris to keep the water flowing. That concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Do we have any questions? Anybody? No? Okay. Then we shall move on. Thank you very much. Enjoyed your presentation.
Thank you, Mike.
Mike, do you want to mention the stormwater preparedness workshop?
Yeah, that's this Thursday. So every year about this time, I think a little earlier this year, city staff has a stormwater preparation workshop for the community. This year will be at the same place, Art Center, this Thursday at 5 o'clock. A lot of good information shared, a lot of exhibits. So encourage your neighbors to come. We should be preparing for flooding before it floods, not the night before.
We'll be there to answer questions.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate all that you do in preparation in advance of the flooding.
And during the flooding.
Well, yes, we know
Hopefully
you're
no
out
flooding.
there.
Hopefully no flooding, though.
When the flooding is happening, so.
I was thinking of you and your team during that last rain that we had.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to our next agenda item, update on municipal regional stormwater. This is a mouthful, MPDS permit requirements.
Yes, hi. Just Mariah, can I have a time check just to make sure for this agenda item and the next one, how much time is there in total?
25 minutes.
Yes, 25 minutes.
Okay. And we're on time?
Yes, we're a little ahead, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on time.
Great, and perfect, and 25 should be more than enough. I just wanted to double check, see how fast I needed to talk. So I'm Pam, and I am the Stormwater Compliance Manager at the city in watershed protection. I will be speaking both on this agenda item and the next one, although it's on the agenda for my colleague Brad Hunt. I'll be speaking for him because he was in a bike accident and is recovering from some surgery. So what I'm going to talk about today is, it is mouthful, but it is the regional stormwater requirements that the city has to follow. And the short way to call the permit is MRP. So we all use that acronym. It's a good one to know. And so I'm going to give a pretty brief update on what we've been doing in maybe the last fiscal year or so to comply. And I will just be going over some of the major items, but please let me know if you have any questions. Please go to the next slide.
Are you able to see the slides moving forward, Pam?
No,
Okay.
I'm just seeing the title slide.
What we could do is you could actually,
There we go. Did it
Okay,
change?
now I see it.
you can see it now?
Do you want me
Okay.
to show my presentation instead?
That was one thought. You could just share your presentation.
That's
And then
fine.
that way- why don't you let her share? 'Cause then
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Pam. I notice on our agenda item, it's called an NPDES permit. And given the oddities going around the federal laws, is this also being driven by state requirements?
So it's a state permit, the
Right,
municipal regional stormwater permit out of the state board, but then it also always gets checked by the EPA.
all right,
So all of our NPDS permits that impact us, the treatment plant and all the municipal regional stormwater permits, they get issued by the state board, but they get basically audited by the EPA before they
Okay.
get issued. So this is one of those.
so that answers my question. So we are protected from
Yes,
weird things that happen at the
Correct.
federal level. Good, thank you.
but we are impacted by the federal level.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, our NPDS permit for the treatment plant, we can have a conversation after this.
Yeah, fine.
Anyway, yeah, fun things, fun times.
Okay. So I'm going to move on. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
So one thing that we've been working on, a few of us from our group, is to move forward with an ordinance update. And so I wanted to go over that a little bit with you before we talked about the MRP, because it's all related. And so the Palo Alto Municipal Code, or PAMC, has all the different ordinances and requirements that the public, business owners, and residents have to follow within the jurisdiction of Palo Alto. And so if you look here at sewer use ordinance, this is what was in place. Actually, it's in place for 3 more days. The new ordinances become active on October 30th. And that's what septic hauling, pretreatment, stormwater, and fats, oil, and grease in regards to restaurants, all that has been under this one umbrella in this chapter 1609 in the Palo Alto Municipal Code. We worked for probably about 1.5 years or so pretty heavily to divide them into 4 chapters. And so now we have 1609. It's now going to be just sewer use, which can be easily adopted by all the other partners of the regional water quality control plant. We have stormwater pollution prevention in 1611, which is just for the city of Palo Alto. However, the requirements are similar to other neighboring cities. We have hauled liquid waste, which is for the septic haulers that use the treatment plant. And then we have fats, oil, and grease, and that's related to what's required by food facilities, including restaurants, hotels, and others that have kitchens in Palo Alto. They have to follow these certain requirements. So we now have, starting in 3 days, going to be effective, all 4 of these, and not sure when they will be in the actual municipal code, but they have been sent to that third-party company to upload them, so they'll be available online. So what we're doing now is that we're working on implementing this stormwater chapter 1611 amendment. All the requirements that are in the MRP are now very closely authorized in chapter 1611. And one thing that I wanted to mention also is for both stormwater and fats, oil, and grease is that we also created a regulations document. So it is an easy to reference document that we can send people to who are interested in learning more about the requirements, and we can provide that as a reference if we're conducting an inspection and there might be a potential violation. We can provide that as a document that they can go look at online. If we just send people to the municipal code online, sometimes that is difficult to understand. There's a lot of legalese, and it's difficult to understand how to implement that on the ground. So the regulations documents are intended to provide that kind of connection between us and the municipal code. That will be available online very soon as well. So as a reminder, the MRP is authorized by the Regional Water Quality Control Board for the region that oversees what flows into the San Francisco Bay, and that's part of the state agency that Karin was talking about. The MRP is issued to all these agencies that are in yellow. So all these agencies have to follow the same requirements. The reason that San Francisco is not in there is because they do have some combined sewer slash stormwater system. So they are under a different permit. And then these other counties that do flow into the San Francisco Bay or the Delta that then goes into the Bay, because they are smaller communities, they have to follow different requirements. We are now in the third iteration of the permit, which is called, in a very kind of informal way, the MRP 3.0. We will be working, actually this Thursday, where the permittees are going to be meeting. Permittees, which are the 79 agencies subject to the MRP, are going to be meeting with the Regional Water Board to kick off negotiations and discussions about MRP 4.0. So each permit lasts about 5 years. And so there's a lot of overlap between the permit still being active and negotiating the next permit. So for the next permit, which expires in about let's say 19 months or so, well, not 19 months, but 18 months, 19 months. We will be working to meet the requirements that are within this current permit while still trying to negotiate what we want in the next permit, with the thought that we're hoping that we don't, that nothing becomes more stringent than it is, and requesting the water board keep things as is for now. The current MRP has 21 provisions for all these agencies, or what we call chapters, and 16 of them are applicable to Palo Alto. And each of those talks about different water quality requirements that we need to follow. We are part of this other acronym, which is, without spelling it out, basically it's a Santa Clara County level coordination group that the agencies that are in Santa Clara.
You want me to say it? Santa Clara Valley Urban Runoff Pollution Prevention Program. That's what it is.
Yeah, I was going to say it. I just didn't want to, I didn't think there was any need to, but okay. What it is that it's an umbrella group that all the different agencies in Santa Clara County that drain to the Bay organize under, so that we can talk about our issues, lessons learned, and try to meet some other requirements together. And oh, and one more thing is that we do pay to be a member of this based on each of the city's population. And that, well, we don't have to go over that, but that goes up a few percentages every year depending on the requirements. So I'm just going to go over very briefly the MRP provisions that are applicable to Palo Alto, and then I'll just be going over a little bit further the ones that are in green on the right. So on the left are the ones that are really have to do with the more general operations and tend to stay the same year after year, except for a few minor things. So C2 is municipal operations. It has to do with how different maintenance activities and minor improvement activities or capital projects are done in the city, and really making sure that we're controlling pollutants on site and within the right of way so that they don't enter the storm drain system. It addresses street sweeping, pressure washing, storm drain system cleaning, those kind of things. Next is C4, industrial commercial site controls, which basically says we conduct industrial commercial inspections of existing businesses to make sure that they have appropriate best management practices in place. The next one, C5, illicit discharge controls. That is about when accidental spills happen either on private properties or into the street. We're trying to keep them from entering the storm drain system. We work a lot with Mike Wong's team to make sure that those are cleaned as soon as possible. We contain them and we try to not let them move downstream into the creeks. We work with whoever's the responsible party and make sure that they adjust their practices for the future so that they don't create issues again. Construction site controls, C6 is really, we go out there and we are inspecting large construction sites. We're looking at sites that are 10,000 square feet or larger. We don't really have staffing to focus on all the sites that are in construction in Palo Alto, so we don't look at single family homes. However, if anyone on the committee or any member of the public sees an issue, they can contact us, submit it to 311, or call the non-emergency Palo Alto police line and we will inspect it, but we don't conduct regular inspections. And then C7 is public information. It's, the utility bill inserts you're seeing when you see things on Facebook, or when we have events, or when we participate in Earth Day. Those are events that we have to, we consider outreach for the treatment plant, but then also do a lot of outreach about potential stormwater pollutants. Very similarly with pesticides is that we're thinking about trying to get people to not use pesticides on their property, but then also on city parks. We have pesticide-free parks, and we're trying to encourage as few use as we can of any kind of pollutant, whether herbicides or pesticides. And lastly, copper, that's one of those that has remained every year, but really hasn't changed. We've had this requirement for a very long time of not allowing copper to be used in architectural projects. It is allowed for projects that are considered historical, but other than that, it's not allowed in architecture and also in industrial pretreatment. So these orange ones here are those that we work with the rest of the county and or the region, all those agencies that I showed you in yellow, where we work together to put our resources together, where it's either just consultant time or staff time, and also might be funding. So for example, water quality, that's done, a lot of it is done by a regional group called the San Francisco Estuary Institute that Karin is active with. Some monitoring is done at the county level, but as a city, generally we might facilitate finding a site where they can do monitoring, or facilitate getting a permit if there is a site where the regional group wants to do monitoring, but we don't conduct any monitoring ourselves. C11 and C12, PCBs and mercury, that's a bit of convoluted one that I won't get too far into, but as you may know, mercury and PCBs have to do with legacy. They're called legacy pollutants, which means that they have to do with uses and that of products and land uses that are no longer in use at all. But these pollutants, they don't dissolve in water, they adhere to soil. So if that soil is still on site, or if it's traveled, but it's still within a creek channel or something like that, then we may still, and unfortunately, a lot of that has gone into the bay. The levels are very high in the bay. However, we're not using any of this or allowing any of this, and we haven't for decades, but unfortunately, these pollutants are still around. So we're required to look at properties where there might be, where they monitor and find higher levels of PCBs and or mercury, and we work in those areas to work with the property owner to reduce, to put in some best management practices, or we might need to work with the water board so that they can require that they mitigate their property. So that there's a lot to that, but basically that's what we're doing with that. And then of course we collect items with mercury at our household hazardous waste center, which is managed by our Zero Waste Group in Environmental Services, and we collect items that have mercury, and we have to report on that each year about how much is collected. C15 is also a bit convoluted, so I won't get into it. What does exempted and conditionally exempt means? It basically means some things are exempted, like groundwater flows. Clean groundwater is allowed, a spring or an area where you might have intrusion or something, that is allowed. And also single family homes that were grandfathered in before we required basements to be, built like a boat. Those are also properties that are allowed to discharge groundwater to the street. However, conditionally exempt means that these are uses where might be like residential car washing, where we want to highly discourage it, but we don't completely prevent it. But if someone is going to wash their car at their home, then we would like to encourage, biodegradable soap. If they are able to use, on their gravel driveway or go on their property, on their grass where the water can go there, or use minimal water, and then even better yet, going to a car wash. So it's conditionally exempt where if you have some things in place, you can still do it, but we highly encourage other things that are better. And one of those items is a pretty complicated one is that our fire department and all fire departments have to address water quality impacts that have to do with discharges from firefighting, emergency firefighting. So it's new because in the past we had to address discharges that were associated with training that had to do with firefighting. So that obviously that's easy. You can plan ahead. A lot of the firefighting training happens at the Municipal Service Center, and they plan ahead and they contain that water and it doesn't go into a storm drain system. Firefighting,
Just so
public
you know,
safety is the #1 priority.
Pam, just for a time check, you've been going 10 minutes and we 25 minutes. It looks like we've got 2 presentations to go, right? So we were on slide 3 and you've got quite a few left on this presentation. I just want to make sure you get through your slides.
I've gone 10 minutes or 25 minutes?
You've got 10 minutes, 25 minutes for 2 presentations. So
Okay, so I've gone 10 minutes of the 25. Got it. Okay, I wasn't
Right,
sure.
so-
What's that?
right? So I'm just trying to make sure you do a time check because you're only on slide 3.
Got it. And so we are working, I believe I was talking about emergency firefighting. So we're working with them to, with all the different fire departments, they're all talking together to try to address that. And C-17 is something we're just getting started on. This is really headed by the city manager's office. It went to council last Monday about different ways to address various services and how to support unsheltered populations. And one aspect of that comes from the stormwater side, because there's a lot of spills and things that can enter the storm drain system and affect water quality. So we're working with the CMO to address that. And the 4 major projects, new development, cost reporting, trash load reduction, and asset management, these 4 are what I'm going to talk about. However, trash load is going to be the next presentation, so I won't be talking about this until then. And I've talked about new development and redevelopment before, and those requirements basically.
Yeah, there's a question in the room.
Just very quickly, the 2 orange ones that you mentioned, the conditionally exempt and the example you cited of the car washing at home, or, the C-17, any kind of unsheltered homeless populations related regulations. How are these enforced? Because, people will be washing their cars. Are we doing something about it? How are we enforcing it?
We don't, the way we enforce on something like residential car washing is that we provide outreach, and we, in that outreach, ask people to do different things, but we don't enforce, we're not going to issue any citations or any enforcement letters. If someone calls us and says that's happening, we might go and let them know, and explain to them how it might impact water quality downstream. What we get calls on a lot is mobile car detailers, and we do enforce upon that. And so we will talk to them. We will give them a warning in the beginning. They are required to contain that water, vacuum it up, and take that somewhere where they can dispose of it in the sanitary. And so because they are a business, we do enforce on them. The other, I believe you asked about unsheltered. And so that is very complicated. Certainly, we have a policy in our team that we don't issue any citations for spills that are associated with RVs at this point. So what happens when we get called on an issue? Generally, it's like either a leaking septic system, not septic system, but a waste tank, or someone has dumped their waste tank into the street, or the storm drain So if that happens, we just go and we talk to them. Sometimes we cannot place the responsible party. Sometimes the responsible party is not responsive, but we will call police. We ask them to go out there with us to talk to them. We explain to them what the requirements are, and we ask them to go and to dispose of that at certain locations. We have a fact sheet that we provide that has locations of where they can go and empty their waste tank.
And in
Long
such
term, what we're
situation-
hoping to do.
Yes.
Sorry, in such
I'm
situations.
sorry?
And I was asking a follow-up, in such situations, does the city then clean up? I'm
Yes.
just
The
imagining
city
that.
cleans up.
Yes.
I mean,
The
that's.
city always cleans up. Mike Wong's group with that, they showed up the Vector truck. They do go out there and clean up. We do run into issues where if there is an RV that is not operable or the police cannot find who operates it, then they might not be able to access it. So they might keep an eye on that area. And then if the RV moves, then they'll go and clean it up later.
But it's always cleaned
What
up.
would normally happen in a
Pam, hold on a second. It is always
Excuse
cleaned
me?
up. Doesn't, hold on, Pam. It's always cleaned up and it doesn't actually, we don't have it reach the creeks. So
Okay.
if the
That's the
back
key.
truck comes in, it doesn't reach the creeks.
Thank you.
I need to move on to the next one, Pam.
Yeah.
We've got it. We gotta keep on moving.
Thank you.
Okay. So what we've been doing with this requirement is really for any projects that are larger than 5,000 square feet with impervious surface. It means that we put in stormwater treatment. And basically what a project has to do is keep in mind the amount of impervious surface on site and do as much as they can to reduce the impervious surface. And so this is for new projects. So we are keeping an eye on those projects and make sure those requirements get done. And for anyone there who was, I believe I don't know if anyone else was with us in 2019 when we had a green stormwater infrastructure plan. We are working on implementing some of those items. Some of that is implementing GSI in city projects. We did that with the East Meadow Drive project. We added extra GSI with the public safety building, and we added extra GSI in the city plans. For example, the bike and pedestrian safety plan, the draft is out, and we were able to implement that as one of the priorities for that. Finally, this is one of the main requirements in the MRP 3.0, where we have to construct GSI projects when there's a target of 3 acres. When at 3 acres per 50,000 population, our target is 3.92 because of our population of 65,000 or so. So we are required to treat, not put in this amount of GSI, but to treat this amount of GSI, which means we have to figure out where can we put green infrastructure to treat this amount before the end of the permit term. And we found a way through the EPA permit to put something in, to propose something at Juana Briones Park. And we are moving forward with, hopefully we'll go to council before the end of this calendar year to request to approve the contract and start the design for this project. I'm not going to talk about this project right now, but I can come back next year and talk about it. We're also required to report on any cost associated with our stormwater compliance program. This is now a statewide requirement for across all regional programs. So I worked with a management analyst and looked at all the costs that are associated with both equipment, staff, contracts, et cetera, that help us meet the MRP requirements. We did not look at things like street sweeping, storm drain system cleaning, because those things are not required by the MRP. Although we might receive some partial credit in terms of trash reduction, they would happen whether that MRP was in place or not. So we do not count it towards our stormwater cost reporting. We had to submit a report that said how much we were able to analyze during this fiscal year, and then we'll be doing this every year from now on. That was quite a big project. And then finally, we have to create an asset management plan for all the stormwater quality assets. So that means all the green infrastructure and trash control devices. So we have to now have an asset management plan. So we created a plan that says how we're going to do it, and now we have to start implementing that. So it's looking at, well, an inventory, the condition, figuring out how much we have to maintain it, and have a work order program in place, and then have a funding mechanism for that. And that's and sorry, upcoming projects, we'll be working with some of those things that I talked about, working with the CMO, the firefighting discharges, implementing that, and beginner design of the Juana Briones project. Did anyone have any questions?
And Juana Briones,
Okay.
do you have any guess as to when the actual implementation will be? It looks like FY26 will be designing.
Correct.
Yeah, it'll be designed for about 15 months or so. The design will start in January. So it'll probably be constructed, if there's a lot of ifs, because we have to make sure we have enough budget. So either the summer of 27, if we have enough budget, or it might have to wait till the following year.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thanks a lot, Pam. That was a detailed analysis. That seemed like a huge accomplishment to get through all of that. So thank you for that,
Thank you.
team. Okay, so you have another presentation now.
Yes.
Is that right?
1 second.
For Brad?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
On trash.
On trash.
Which is exciting though, because we've actually made a lot of headway on trash,
Yeah.
which is a municipal regional stormwater permit requirement.
Okay, you can proceed.
Okay, 1 second.
She's just pulling up the presentation.
Ah, I got it.
Okay. Sorry, I had to go backwards on that. Okay. So this, can you see okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I mentioned, this is in place of Brad Hunt, but he is very much the subject matter expert on trash load reduction and has been the lead on this project. Some of you have heard this presentation a few months ago, part of this presentation, but we wanted to make sure that everyone was on the same page and understood where we were. So the stormwater permit, a couple of versions ago, required that we reduce trash by 100% or as close to it as possible compared to a 2014 baseline. So there was an evaluation of how much trash we had in the city and where we had it, and there was a map made, and based on those numbers, we had to reduce trash by 100% compared to 2014. So over the years, we've been trying to work on that. The MRP had required that we reduce by 90% by 2023 and by 100% by 2025.
And this is
Hold
on, Pam.
this is reduce by weight. How did you
Visual assessment.
visual?
by-
Okay.
Well,
A lot of it's visual assessment.
but it's not necessarily by it's a pretty complicated process, but it's more about it's there or it's not. It's basically what it is. But the way that we calculate it, I can explain that a little bit in a minute.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to know.
Yeah. So what happened was that.
Sorry, my question is, what's the impact, if any, of not reaching 100%? Like 99.2% is impressive, to say the least.
I will let you know that. Yes. So we didn't reach 90% in 2023. We got to 75%. We let the water board know that, let them know what was our plan to get to the 100%. And then we were planning to get to 100% in June of by 2025 by the compliance deadline. But unfortunately, we ran into some kind of contractor snags, let's say, and we didn't. So we got to 97%. Now we are at 99.2. The water board has now basically extended that deadline to December 31st. So everyone now has to December 31st to get to 100%. Just last week, some what are called cease and desist orders were issued by the water board to some cities that did not get to 100%. But those were all cities that got to 95% or lower. So it was kind of a range of up to 95%, but I guess they considered us close enough because we haven't heard from them at all. And so we are hoping we will get to 100% very soon. And so I also wanted to talk to just share a little bit about how we can do that and how we've gotten to where we are. And this is a somewhat of a simplified process. There's a very calculation in the background of how to figure this all out that a consultant has figured out and is approved by the water board. So the easiest way and most streamlined way to get full credit for a location, because like I said, there's a map. And through our city, there's areas that have certain levels of trash. There might be some areas that have high levels of trash and some of that are moderate and some that are low. And so the areas where it's moderate or high is where we have to reduce trash. If they're low, that's low enough that they're happy enough with that and they give us credit for being that low. So full credit means that if we put a trash capture device in, that means we're capturing trash that goes into a storm drain inlet, so from the street into the inlet, or a large trash capture device like what we have in front of the golf course, where it's put into the pipe system and it's capturing all the trash that goes through the pipe into that system. The trash is captured and Mike Wong's group removes that trash. So if we install a trash capture device, whether an area is high, whether an area is moderate, everything goes to low immediately and we get full credit. You know, of course, over time, we are required to maintain and empty those trash capture devices and report that we are removing that trash. However, in terms of that calculation, we get full credit. Then there's something else called a trash assessment. And those are where, based on a protocol within a length of a street, somebody goes and looks at the amount of street from the edge of the property line from the edge of the sidewalk property line to the curb and gutter. You count how much trash there is along that width and along a length, and then you extrapolate how much trash there is in that area. If there is trash, then you're not low yet. If there is not trash, then you are low and you get credit for that. But unfortunately, the downside of that is that it's a point in time. So, you know, if they go the day after, let's say, a big event and it didn't get cleaned up yet, let's say, you know, it was a busy day at a restaurant and all that trash got into the street, whatever it is, and then there was a trash assessment done, then it's going to show we have a lot of trash. Whereas 2 weeks later, they went and did that right after a big cleanup, you know, so it's a spot in time. So that's why the water board said, you know, we can give you credit for that, but it's not a permanent credit. You have to keep showing with assessments that you are continuing to keep it low. What we do in those areas is we do street sweeping, litter cleanup. We make sure our trash containers and bins are closed and, you know, managed regularly, which is through zero waste. So it's a lot of different people at the city trying to make sure that we continue to do this. So there might be, by the way, though, if there's a trash capture device, although you see trash in the street, we might still have full credit because we're keeping it from going down into the system, down into the creek. So at the end of the day, what they want is they want to keep that trash out of the bay, not necessarily off the street. And that's where that is a little different, where we, you know, a resident may see trash and think that we're not reducing trash in that area, but not from the water board's angle. And then we are looking at some businesses where they have trash on their property and they have private storm drains that connect straight to our city system. And we're working with them to make sure that they manage their trash. From that angle, our worst area, as you can imagine, is the Stanford Mall, and we're working closely with them. They do a lot at their property to limit trash, and we're working with them closely. So just as a reminder, we have three what are called those large devices, basically, those are all in pipe systems. We have 3 large ones. One is at capturing this area here, and then 2 are around here. And then we had one small one up until recently on Park. One thing we've been doing is we've been putting a lot of small ones. Sorry, I'm going to skip that one. We've been putting a lot of small ones, and there's 2 main kinds. So if you can imagine looking inside the storm drain inlet, you remove the grate and you're looking into it. This is what one might look like. So this device here, below here, the water goes through, the water goes in, but then this is right here at the opening where the pipe is. So this is basically a cement box except for this opening here. So this captures the trash basically like a basket. It lets the flow through into the pipe, but it's capturing the trash. And then this trash gets accumulated in here. When you see this line for 50%, we had them paint this in. When it gets to 50%, we are required to clean it out. When it gets to 100%, we are basically deemed, we're basically in violation if we don't clean it at 100%. So although the inlet is this big, we only let it get this full until we clean it. This is one other one where if this area is very uneven and you can't put this in because it has to go against a wall, then we can put this, which is kind of like you lay in a net to capture the trash. So this is more like a funnel, like a colander, basically. We put these in along the city. These blue dots are where they all are around the city. These are areas where we could put it in for various feasibility reasons. We can't put it in everywhere. It's not feasible everywhere. We can't get credit everywhere. So these are areas where we've put them in. So we're going to have in total about, I think, probably 45 to 50 of these small devices. We're going to hopefully finish by the end of in November, and trying to get to the point to get from that 99 to 100. Putting in one little device may only give us like a 0.03%. So then we have to put in another device and it gives us another little percent till we get to 100%. So it is what it is. So this is where we're at. And I'm hoping that maybe next year we can take you out on a field trip if that time allows, Karen, so that they can look at a couple of small devices and then also at the large device. Give people a sense of what do these things look like in public, which is hard to picture otherwise. Does anyone have any questions?
What is the season? This is true, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, you mentioned season disease that some counties may have, some cities may have received if they didn't reach their target.
This is order.
Yeah, what does that even entail? What does it mean?
Well, you can get a violation, you can get a
Probably.
fine. I mean, you can, but basically it's just a cease and desist order to hopefully try and motivate you to take care of it. They can give you fines and violations. It just depends on what they decide to do.
They're like a yellow card. You get to them, yeah.
Yeah,
but
it is like a yellow card, exactly.
Yellow card, but I mean, it does vary. So.
I have 2 questions. Recently, I've been reading about problems that they have in the United Kingdom with the sanitary sewer system, with what are called fatbergs. Grease and oil get into the sewer system. They clog on sanitary wipes and things like that. And you get these gigantic occlusions in the sanitary sewers. I don't read about that in the United States, and I'm wondering whether it's because American authorities do a better job of controlling grease that's going down the sewer system and the drainage systems. And that leads to another question. Is it true that they have that problem and we have less of it because we're doing a better job, particularly with the sanitary sewer system. But the second question relates to the crash capture and so forth. We've got, the water board keeping an eye on what goes into the bay, and thank the Lord, right? There are, we all think of Switzerland and Singapore as places where they're squeaky clean and they do this right, and we'd like to do it as well. There are places in the world where they just can't afford to do any of this. So are there places in the United States where they're not doing a lot of it and the EPA is just sort of sleeping and letting it happen? And if we were to travel around the world, what happens if an impoverished country is not doing any of this? Is it all going out into the ocean? Is it all going out, into some lagoon, and then if there's enough river force, the lagoon pushes it out? And what happens to people who don't do it well?
So you guys ever watched documentaries on the Pacific, basically the ocean currents basically creates this large garbage patch of plastics in the ocean. And there's been a lot of research on it, and there's been a lot of studies about how to vacuum up plastic in the ocean, but it's actually really challenging. And then also it breaks down to microplastics. But yeah, so the countries in our country, our areas, where if you can't capture the plastic before it gets out into the ocean, it goes out, right? When we have huge storm events, massive storm events, think about LA River, think about here, think about when we had our massive flooding. Everything got picked up, right? And just went out into the ocean. And then you have these currents. And then the currents, typically, if you look at the ocean currents, it will eventually a gyre will happen. And that's where the plastic congregates. So they have these huge boats that go around, and they try, and they have different people have been trying to do, you'll see bracelets that are made out of recycled plastic, and there's all these cruises that try and study it, boats that are trying to vacuum up the ocean. It's really challenging, but the best way to do source control, just like at the wastewater treatment plant, is get it before it gets in the ocean, get it before it gets in the waterway, because it's so hard to take pollutants out of the water, period. But that's what happens out. So they are trying to remove it. And I've been to countries where, when we introduce plastic, that's the worst thing we could possibly do, honestly, because it doesn't biodegrade. I mean, Michelle, you can add to it.
I was gonna add a little bit to the context. In some countries, they don't have a separate storm and sewer system. Here we do. So I think in some cases where it just commingles, and maybe when we have excess runoff, the runoff helps move some of the pollutants that would have been sewage through. There's countries though that don't have that system. I mean, we're talking about the countries that have storm drain, that is basically city streets, undeveloped, everything infiltrates, it's all dirt, and then you've got no sewage lines. You may have something that goes out to a nearby channel nearby somewhere else, but they also have a lot of burning options. I've been to places where you see the fire at a distance, and it's just, this is their day to burn. And it could be anything, batteries, clothing, it could be anything. And that could be some of the stuff that is pollutants that we don't know, like we take it for granted. I think having facilities that take care of these things for us, we're more mindful. But for example, we just had the folks from Oaxaca visit through, and they were talking about how they can't keep grates long enough. The grates that protect the inlets get stolen. So they can't keep grates, they can't keep any garbage out because they get stolen. So they're dealing with other issues that are.
If there's desperate poverty, they just can't do any of this, right?
Right.
And so it's ultimately going into rivers, lakes, and oceans.
Or land.
But is there's some idea of the relative amount of material that a developed country, United States, which consumes so much compared to even a continent, that their waste, plastic waste, could be
relatively lower in comparison? Yeah, there is.
Whereas organic
Yeah.
matter is
Well, it breaks down.
unhealthy,
It breaks down.
but it will break down.
Yeah. Well, you find typically also those countries, the developing countries, they'll repurpose and reuse everything, right? Whereas we are consumers and we waste.
Right.
Very different, but yeah, totally
So-
different conversation. But
So great conversation right now, but not necessarily pertinent to the agenda. Something that can be
You're right.
pursued perhaps after our final
yeah. Sure.
situation here. There's some time here for any questions, comments. Thank you for bringing all that up. Any announcements?
I think Ambika had a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ambika.
No, it's not about this. This is, I had one, is that what you want me to talk about?
Yeah,
Karen?
yes.
I received an email from a resident in, I think, the Barron Park area, that was talking about when their location would be getting the stormwater issues fixed. They are highly motivated, the entire neighborhood, because every storm they are impacted by it. And they brought this up. I forwarded it on to Karen and the team. So maybe if you have an update, I'd love to hear.
You want me to respond or you want to respond, Michelle?
Sure, I can respond. So Valerie Tam, who is senior engineer in the streets group, she oversees, kind of like me, but she oversees the streets resurfacing project, overlays, resurfacing, also concrete sidewalk repairs. I believe she provided, I just checked with her, she provided a response on the 15th, maybe a week ago. Letting them know that letting the resident know that this is currently scheduled to occur. The resurfacing on the CIP planning is scheduled for July 2027 through June 2028. So in advance of that, there probably will be a Barron Park neighborhood meeting where they have to pose the question to the residents as far as how do we add a bioswale, not a bioswale, a valley gutter, a concrete valley gutter in that vicinity. That's all I've seen from her
Yeah,
response.
and I think I saw him, I don't know if it was to the same one or the prior one,
Yeah.
responding that he's available on certain days
Yeah.
if they want to chat, and I don't know if anything.
I haven't seen anything, so I don't know if there's been another response, but I'll check and follow up and see if there's anything else. That's the last I heard about it.
And just so you know, Barron Park is very different. It has to be, all the residents has to vote and approve it. So it's a different community than other parts of Palo Alto. So that's the other challenge.
Yeah.
Is getting things through, and Barron Park community is a little bit different than other areas. It's not like one stretch that Michelle can just work toward this stretch.
Understood.
Yeah.
So
I think maybe just make sure we communicate that with them, that, okay, this is a constraint, and I mean, who knows, Barron Park has so many different events that as a community, they're quite
Vocal.
vocal, and they're willing to come together to do different things. So if they are, maybe this will be something that we could.
Holly, did you want to add something? Because Holly knows it a bit better than me. I didn't know.
Yeah, so good afternoon. I'm Holly Boyd. I am Karin and Mike's counterpart in engineering services. So I'll just speak for Valerie. Barron Park has these particular guidelines that we have to follow. In the 90s, there was a bunch of community meetings, and these guidelines were developed. That include, they wanted a more kind of rural area with no sidewalks, etc. So we have this list of guidelines. One of which is if they do want valley gutters, as Michelle stated, we have to hold a meeting just with the residents on that particular block, and they have to vote for it 50%. Whoever shows up to the meeting. So it's something that we do every couple of years. It usually goes really well. Usually people vote for the valley gutters. I haven't done one in the last 20 years where someone hasn't voted for the valley gutters. It's just a process that we have to do per the guidelines.
Thank you for the clarification, Holly. I did not know all those details. See, I learn new things every day.
So, Ambika, thank you for bringing it to our attention. So just as a Do you live in the Barron Park area?
No, I don't. This is
Okay.
because somebody reached out because of my name probably
Sure.
starting with an A on the.
There you go. So it sounds like the right process was followed
Yes.
and they will be followed up with, the community will be followed up. That's great.
In a couple of years.
Well, I mean, there's a process. They
Yeah,
already,
right,
they have
right,
it.
no.
I mean, Barron Park's a part of that process, so. Okay, great. Thank you. Was there anything else? We have future meetings that we need to settle on or discuss or?
So normally the future meetings, it's tied around the budget season.
Right.
And so I'll have to, it's usually, if you remember correctly, we'll have to get back to you, but it's
Sure.
whenever we can, it's usually a little bit of a dance of how remembers and you remember, because it's when we get all of our stuff together.
Right.
And then we're trying to get it right before the finance committee, that we've got it through all of our department
Right.
heads and finance committee, and then we get in there. But then we'll also be going to finance committee with our fee increase, which is based on CPI, so I can also inform you of that. So we also need to typically get a letter of support and for that as well. So
Okay.
I will communicate.
Great.
My team is going to be helping me because I'm literally also trying to push forward all the capital work at the plant as well.
Right. So the
Lots of hats
announcement,
these days.
the announcement of future meetings will be handled through
Yes.
email communication.
Email communication, and Mariah will be doing probably a
Thank you,
poll to
Mariah.
try and find the best.
So I think we can expect maybe springtime will be the
Yeah.
next time
Yeah.
that we meet.
I'm sort of had my head like an April timeframe, but we'll see
Yep.
what happens.
Yep.
Yeah, but I can communicate also. Normally we have to go to finance committee first
Mm.
for the rate increase for stormwater, but then typically we need to get a letter before for going to budget approval
Okay.
and your blessing.
Excuse me?
For your
And
blessing.
Oh, for our blessing, yes, of course. So great. I think that might wrap it up then as a meeting. We just have to adjourn. Do I hear a motion to? Thanks. Okay, do I hear a second? I guess I can
We're
second.
doing action, there were 15 minutes, sorry.
You already did.
Yeah,
We
we
did.
did.
Yeah, we're
That
good.
was our action that we did.
And the memo.
Yeah. just
So
making
I
sure.
think I just seconded because I can do that to adjourn. And do we have a vote? Yes? Hands? Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thank you guys.
staff.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Having you guys be the fiscal review is really